Welcome back. This is Clementines on behalf of Taunton Youth Culture and Arts Festival with workshop number 2 of 4. So if you're just joining us for the very first time, I suggest maybe you roll back to the Tyca website and find session number 1, as we'll be talking about it quite a lot during this session. So session 1 was all about inspiration. And you should have written a few words during it. We did our 3-minute stream of consciousness activity where you took your change that you'd like to see in the world and the main emotion that you experienced when you thought about it. And then you would have written for 3 minutes all about it. I wasn't going to do my own version of this, but I was doing a workshop in a school last week over a video link, and a young person asked me what I would change, which I wasn't really prepared for, and I didn't have an answer. And then they said about what their change was, which is that the white rhino, I didn't even know, was on the edge of extinction. We keep killing them, and that made this particular young person feel really, really angry. So I've decided, as an example, just to show people where we're at, to share with you a bit of writing about the white rhino and its extinction. Here we go. I feel so angry. How dare they keep killing these beautiful creatures? Do they not have the same right to life that we do? Their leathery grey skin, they look like aliens. Half cow, half Martian, with the wrinkled wisdom of your grandma's grandma, waddling about the savannah with the power of a freight train. No human would dare stand up to one, yet we're killing them slowly with a cowardly, slippery, sneaky viciousness, poaching them with overpowered weapons like a game of chess where one side only has pawns and the other side all queens. As our cities grow, their habitat shrinks. And this makes me angry, and I'm angry at myself for letting it happen, but I don't know how to stop it, which makes me even angrier. Angry, 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 angry. Angry! So that was my stream of consciousness, exploring my emotion of anger around the extinction of the rhino. And you might have something a little bit longer than that. You might have something a little bit shorter, more description, less description. And if you're happy with what you've got written down, then keep hold of it and roll straight on. But if at any point you're feeling like you're not really happy with the direction it's going, you'd like to explore a different topic or a different emotion, then you can start again from this point, this stream of consciousness 3-minute writing activity, and you could do it with 5 or 6 different things and find one that you really like. But when you've got one that you're kind of feeling good about, then you are ready to move on. And I would suggest that you do keep hold of any writing that you do, whether you love it or you hate it, because it's a part of your journey and you can look back over it and you can use it in future activities, like how I'm going to show you how we're going to use some of the writing we've already done to try and take this journey forward. So if last week was exploring our emotions, what we're doing now is we're focusing on how can we share our emotions with other people. How can we paint a picture inside their mind? We're not going to inspire anyone with, "Hi, my name is Jackie and I'm feeling really angry about the rhino." We need to get inside their mind and really bring the colour, bring the images, and that is it. We're focusing on your voice and how you can use your voice to communicate so much more of a deep picture to the person that is listening or watching or reading the work that you have created. So one way we can do this is through metaphor and simile. Now, I know I've already said that focusing too much on different literary techniques can actually just get in the way and be a stumbling block. So if you don't want to focus on those words whatsoever, you can just forget I ever mentioned them and do this activity. But likewise, if you are interested in those things, like I am, then definitely I thought I would let you know before doing it, those are the techniques that we're working in. To put it simply, a simile is saying something is like something else. So my anger is like a volcano, whereas a metaphor is saying something is something else. So my anger is a volcano erupting out of me as it comes out of my mouth. And those are the things that we're using, but you actually don't need to know that at all to complete this next activity, which is my way of trying to move this forward with what you have got to paint those pictures inside other people's heads, which is basically the only reason we use techniques like this anyway. So I would like you to focus in on your emotion, the emotion attached to the change that you want to make. And I want you to go through your 5 senses. I would like you, I guess, to do this activity, the best way is to write down now all of these questions that I'm asking, then press pause and fill in all of the gaps and answer those questions in your own time. So, number 1, I'm going to use my anger as an example, but it might be your sadness, it might be your happiness, your excitement, anything that you explored. But I'm going to use my anger, which is what I found a lot of people are exploring with this, which is interesting to see that anger seems to be an emotion which drives these changes forward. So what does your anger look like? What does your anger sound like? What do you hear when you think of your anger? What does your anger taste like? Is it bitter in your mouth as you spit it out? What does it smell like? And finally, what does it feel like? And when I say feel here, I'm not talking about emotional feelings. I'm talking about your physical sense of touch. What does it feel like? Is it scorching your tongue because it's so hot as it comes out? Or is it churning around in the bottom of your belly? So these are our 5 senses, and I would like you to write, regardless of whether you're going to use them all, write one thing that your anger looks like, sounds like, smells like, tastes like, feels like. And then we can move on to some more images that we've got. So if your anger was an animal, what animal would it be? Is it a raging tiger? Is it a tiny little timid mouse? What type of animal? If it was a TV show, what would it be called? Would it be a good TV show? Would it be a rubbish TV show? Who would play the lead actor? Who would play the lead villain if it was a TV show? Where does your anger live? Does it live in the bottom of your stomach? Does it live somewhere out there in the clouds far above your head? What does it like to eat? Does it have friends? Does it have enemies? What board games does it like to play? And most importantly, at the end, I'd really like you to write, what do you want to do with your anger? What is your relationship with it like? So are you trying to stop your anger from coming out, but it's just forcing its way out? Or are you really trying to encourage it? Are you saying, anger, get out there and do something, but it is not listening and won't help out? So what is your relationship with your anger like? Go through all of those headings that I have just said, and I would like you to write down one thing for all of them, which we will use in our next activity. Now you have a few more images written down related to your emotion. We're going to do another activity to create some more mental images which are a little bit more to do with context, a little bit more to do with the physical facts of the change that you would like to see. So what we're going to do is a mind map activity, and I would like you to write down in the middle of a piece of paper the words, basically the issue that you're talking about. So this is the change. In my case, I wrote rhino extinction. I just wrote EXT, so I ran out of space. But rhino extinction is what I'm talking about. And then you take 4 branches off your topic and go to 4 new words. And really do just try to go for the first things that come into your head, the first images which come to you. So I had bones was the first thing that came to me when I thought about rhino extinctions, and that was one branch. I took another branch which was climate, I've written there, but what was in my head was climate change. Then down in the bottom here I had pollution, and down here I had savanna, which is I believe where rhinos live. I might be totally wrong about that, sorry if I am, but they definitely live in quite wild landscapes in and around Africa. So I went for savanna as the first image that came up for me. And then you take another branch off each of these to go for the next word. So you're not going for rhino now, you're going for bones. What comes into my head when I think of bones? Skeletons, fossils, whatever it is. And then here, what are the words related to climate change? And what we're trying to create here is just a map of as many different words to do with the context, to do with the change as possible. And these words are going to come really handy with our next activity. And this next activity is about bringing it all together and writing some proper lines down. I always say a good line can be taken and copied and pasted into a poem, into a rap, into a story. It could be the opening line, it could be the ending line, but if you get a good enough line, then you can build everything else around it. And we're going to start writing down some lines using the content that we've created in our first 3 activities. You've got your stream of consciousness, you've got your, which was the 3-minute writing activity, you've got your metaphors and similes, or your what is your anger like, where does it live, etc. And you've got your mind map, which shows all of the first images which came up when you thought about the issue. And we're going to start to link all of these together, writing out sentences which try to link as many of these words and ideas together as possible. So I didn't take anything from my stream of consciousness, but I did take from the 2 activities that we did today. I took that my anger, if it was an animal, it would be a tiger. Where does my anger live? It lives at the bottom of my belly. And what is my relationship with my anger like? I try to lock it away and it's trying to get out. And how does my anger taste? It actually tastes pretty sweet. And then my images from my topic, from my mind map. I had the word city was quite a strong one that came to me, and the word zoo kept coming back to me, and escape was a word that I wrote on there that just seemed to keep coming back. So you're getting all of these words and ideas from different places and trying to create now some sentences. We're using all of the best bits of everything that you've written so far. And what we are actually creating now basically replaces all of those first 3 bits of writing. So everything that you like, or even kind of like, from the first 3 writing activities, let's put them into this now, because this is what we're going to be working on. I have an example of what I made using those words, and it came to my anger is like a giant tiger. It rips down the walls of our cities. This angry tiger then breaks into zoos and sets all of the animals in there free. It lives somewhere inside of me, in between my belly, which is where I feel it most, and my mouth, which is where it's trying to escape from. I've been trying to lock it away in there because I thought it would burn my tongue on the way out, but now it is finally escaping. It tastes much better than I thought it would. So that's just using some of the images that we've created in all of the other activities and tried to link them together to make sentences. That was a number of sentences. So take everything that you like that we've already done and put it, and there might be some sections of it that kind of stand alone. Might be that there's most of it fits together in a paragraph like that, but there's one line that you kind of like that just is about something entirely different. Keep it in your sentences list, because that's what we're writing now. And we're still in the stage of trying to get as much down on paper as possible to keep the flow going. We're not yet getting too focused on the is this good yet. That's what we're going to do in the next activity. So stop the video now and write down those sentences. And now that you have done that, we are now getting to the stage where we are starting to ask ourselves, do we like what we have written so far? So far, we've been going through the journey of getting as much down on paper as possible, regardless of whether we like it or not. Now we are going to go back over it and choose the bits that we like, choose the bits that we don't like, and cut away anything that we don't like. I will say, keep your originals. When you do a cutting down activity, don't just go over the Word document. If you're doing it on a screen or a Word doc or whatever, make sure you keep the original and save a version, because you might want to go back to it. But that's always the creative process for me. Build it all up and then take the axe to it brutally to choose the bits that are actually good to stay in. I've heard it said about poetry before that it is as much about what you don't say as it is about what you do say. And I think this can definitely be said for all of the other art forms as well. We don't always need to give it to them on a plate. We can maybe go about things in a slightly more subtle way and let their own imagination do part of the work for us. And that's where this subtlety comes in. So this next activity that we're going to do is we're going to take all of our sentences that we have written out and we're going to go over each one. We're going to ask ourselves, number one, is there a different way I can say this? A slightly more subtle way than to say this. So if it was, my anger is like a giant tiger and it goes leaping, could you just say, this tiger leaps out? It's fewer words and it's given, you're not just giving it to them on a plate, you're letting them do a bit of the work themselves. And another thing you're going to ask is, can I rewrite that line? Can I rewrite that sentence using way less words? How many words can I cut out of that sentence? Imagine each word weighs a kilo. So every single one that you're using that isn't absolutely necessary is just weighing you down. It's holding you back from where you want to be. So look at that sentence and try to cut out any unnecessary ums, ands, anything in the middle of it which isn't needed. So I took what I just read for you before about my anger being like a tiger. I just added it up to 96 words and then I cut it down to 48 words, which is that exactly half? That might be exactly half. But yeah, don't fuss about that. Just try and cut it down as much as you can without losing the essence. So I'm going to read both examples for you now. to show you how you can cut something that's a bit more long and wordy and less subtle down into something that is a bit slicker, moves a bit more freely, and is a lot shorter, which is going to be really good for what we are creating. So the first one at 96 words was, my anger is like a giant tiger. It rips down the walls of our cities. This angry tiger then breaks into zoos and sets all of the animals there free. It lives somewhere inside me, in between my belly, which is where I feel it most, and my mouth, which is where it wants to escape from. I have been trying to lock it away in there because I thought it would burn my tongue on the way out, but now it is finally escaping. It tastes much better than I thought it would. So that was 96 words, which I hacked apart and chopped away all the worst ones, lost a bit of the unnecessary baggage, and I cut it down to 48 words, which sounds like this. This tiger leaps out, ripping down walls, breaking into zoos and liberating its inhabitants. I try to keep it in my belly, but it claws its way up. I thought when it escaped my mouth it would scorch my tongue, but it's sweeter now than I could have imagined. So that is what we're going. Stop the video whenever you're ready and take the axe to it. I've heard it said that all a diamond is a lump of coal which has been crushed down and crushed down and crushed down with all of the weight of the earth into something very much more shiny. And that's what you're doing now. You're getting your lumps of coal that you created and you're crushing them down into your diamonds. Enjoy. So that is actually the last activity that we are going to have time for in this week's workshop session. I hope you've enjoyed it and maybe even you feel a little bit closer to having an original piece of your own that you might be confident enough to perform at one of the upcoming events that we're organising. But slowly, we're on that journey together. There's still 2 more of these sessions coming up. So you've got plenty more time to work on these. And in the meantime, you can, if you want to, get in touch, send in via the Tyca website any work that you've done. I'd love to hear some of the things that you've written about already. I can give feedback to them and send them back to you. And we are now actually offering private Zoom sessions for people if you're feeling like you'd rather do a Zoom session with a group of people you know well. Then we totally understand that. You can book via the website a private session for you and your group. They're all totally free, but you do need to have a group of at least 10 people under the age of 25, and any of those participants who are under 18 need parental permission for it. So I can't just go offering like one-to-one sessions for anyone that wants it. But if you have a group who you would like to do a kind of more interactive live session on this theme together, then we definitely can do. As always, we are on all of the socials. Please do get in touch with us. What did you like? What did you hate? What would you like to see happening next week? And if there's anyone that you know who you think would benefit from this course, then do spread the word and point them in this direction. Thank you so much for your time. I've been Jackie Clementines. An absolute honour and a privilege as always. I'm so excited to see where this all goes next. Peace.